Welcome to episode number 144 of the Beyond Social Media Show, the podcast for marketing, advertising, public relations, and communications professionals. We're recording live on YouTube on May 22, 2016. We have a lot to talk about this week. Among the topics, Chewbacca's mom, or the Chewbacca Mama breaks the internet, the pros and cons of LinkedIn, Google developer conference announcements, the worst Twitter idea of the week, the miracle of birth, streamed, Blab quits, major Twitter updates, and a lot more. We always started off with the worst story of the week, and BL always kicks it off with that honor. BL, what was the worst story?
Well, this week, Sky TV spammed Twitter in one of the worst ideas I've ever seen anywhere. This is from a story by Sean Bamber, and it was a publication called Stuff, and it was a publicity stunt. They used the hashtag CommandTheUnsullied, and it let people on Twitter bombard their users with thousands and thousands of tweets from fake bot accounts. All they had to do was do that hashtag, and apparently, you'll correct my pronunciation, Daenerys Targaryen commands the Unsullied army on Game of Thrones, but Sky TV decided that you could use Command the Unsullied to have your own army of Twitter bots. And so what happened, they tweeted, tweet an order with Command the Unsullied and have an army of thousands do your bidding, and hashtag Game of Thrones, Sky New Zealand. And it appears to have been the brainchild of DDB New Zealand. And a spokesperson from there who didn't wish to be named said, well, it certainly got people talking. And what happened was you used that, and then you got 2,000 or more spam tweets to your account. I mean, completely destroyed your account. And unfortunately, they didn't have a way to undo that. So,
I don't even get it. That's yeah, that's among the most poorly thought out.
Like what? You know, like what was the point? Did it have a point? No, it did not have a point.
Well, this one had a point. I don't know if the person who was doing it recognized what he was doing at the time, but anyway, if you haven't heard by now, there was a Facebook live stream that got a lot of attention last week. This is from a Gizmodo story by Sophie Kleeman. Callie Kanagata of Carmichael, California, used Facebook Live to broadcast the birth of his child. The article quotes, "I thought it was just going to my family and friends," he told people. After he realized it was public, he apparently thought about shutting the live broadcast off, which most husbands might probably say, maybe I should shut this down, this isn't a good idea. But instead of shutting it down, he kept on filming. Another quote from him, there's a lot of negative stuff on Facebook, and so I thought this would be positive. The mom didn't sound too angry about it. Maybe she was just putting on a brave face for the media, but oh my God.
Really?
One, as a husband, as a father, is that really something you'd want to do? Two, as a user of Facebook, I don't want to see it. No,
I wouldn't want to see it, but apparently a lot of people did. And I have to tell you, I attended the birth of my godson, and it's a pretty cool experience, but not if you don't know the person.
Right.
So, yeah. Well, nothing that could match that, really. But all of a sudden, Blab has decided that it's leaving, that it's going to pivot, and apparently it's pissing off its users. They have a new app and a site, and it's called Bebo, B-E-B-O, which happens to be Benny, my dog's nickname. And the description of this app says, "School's out, time to chill with your squad. Group FaceTime with as many people as you want. Screen share your favorite apps, watch TV and YouTube, listen to music, play games with 3 S's, see what your friends are doing." Okay, so literally how it works, swipe to chill. Now you're online. Join a friend or start your own chill your way, get on cam, screen share your phone, watch videos. Beware flying water balloons and chaos monkeys, play on. Okay, So the website doesn't work, and the app actually doesn't work, and they actually haven't said anything. So a whole bunch of people, like hundreds of people, the other day were on this angry blab about Blab, which is what everybody usually talks about on Blab, and they were saying, where the hell is Blab? Why aren't they talking to us? We're the users, why aren't they coming? But apparently Blab said, well, we're not going to make any money doing what we're doing, and so and no, we're not growing, and so we're just going to stop doing it. And it's all rather mysterious at the moment and weird.
So they created a new app, and it sounds like it's a combination between video conferencing, group video conferencing, and Tinder.
Exactly.
But they've still got the Blab site going, and it's still
going,
working.
but nobody knows for how long. And
so that's a way to maintain your users, I guess. I mean, if they're not making any money at it, understandable. But you started something; a lot of people are using it now.
Well, they said, when I spoke to them, when I interviewed them at the beginning, they said, we don't care about money. We'll figure the money out later. They had an enormous amount. They were self-funded with an enormous amount of money. I forget the exact number, but it was huge, like $100 million or something. And maybe they pissed through it. Who knows? But
well, I mean, you don't start out your business model saying we don't care about making money, because
but that is what they said.
That's a way to doom your business.
Yeah. So in another example of what could possibly go wrong, Google asked the internet to come up with an N-word. This is from a BuzzFeed story, and they were naming whatever it is they were naming, and they asked people to come up with an N-word. That's so stupid. I don't even want to talk anymore about it.
Kind of asking for trouble.
Yeah, well, exactly. Like, doesn't anybody learn from anybody's experiences? Like, does everybody just think, like, this won't happen to our brand? I don't get it. Like, nobody learns anything from anybody else, Isn't that how the world goes around? Like, you learn from others and... Anyway, does that bring us to better news, Dave? I think I'm done complaining. Well, I do want to complain about one thing that you like. So, what, you want me to complain first?
You complain first, and then we'll go into the best stuff. And I'll let you do the complaining. I'll lead with the counter complaining.
Okay. Well, a couple of weeks ago, LinkedIn announced their new Pro Finder, and I signed up. And how it works is that you had categories to pick as your area of expertise, and people who are looking for whatever, in my case, marketing help, content creation, video creation, people who are looking for that could put out a request for a proposal. And it's a very rudimentary form that you can either give $1, an hourly rate, or a project rate based on the scant information that you're being provided. And so I got a whole bunch of requests, and the requests are tied to your LinkedIn profile and your recommendations and what you say you can do. And theoretically, the people are able to read about, who their requests are going to. And I got a whole bunch of them, only one of which was, well, 2 were relevant, and one, it became very clear that if you don't respond in a few minutes, it's over, because apparently they close it after 5 responses. So you have about 5 minutes to respond. And so I spoke to one company, and I had listed my hourly rate, and believe me, it wasn't 10 cents an hour. And they were looking for somebody. It didn't say this in the request for proposal. It said they were looking for a content creator, which that's what I am. And what they wanted was for somebody to write 4 weekly blog posts, frequent website content updates, handle Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, all the SEO and PR for multiple clients, and they wanted to pay $1,000 a month. I suggested they look elsewhere. So now an email comes from LinkedIn, and it says the first 5 requests were free. Now you have to sign up for $60 a month pro service, which includes Linda, which, thank you, I don't want. And, the only reason I know that it was a $60 a month pro service is because I wrote to them and said, you forgot to mention the price in your email. And they wrote back and said, oh yeah, it's $60 a month. Well, it appears to me that what happened immediately, which is exactly what I thought would happen, is that this immediately devolved into a price competition. I don't compete on price.
Yeah, so a couple of
Not at
things on
that level.
a couple of things on that. I mean, the person who wanted somebody to do the response that you saw wanted somebody to do their social media and content and everything for $1,000 a month doesn't know how to price things, doesn't know the value of what that is. So that's
Yeah, I'm
kind of,
sorry, it was an agency. They do know.
well, then they
They
don't
said
want any
we won't
quality.
make. Well, they
Then they,
said we won't make money unless you work for basically nothing. I was like, well,
right. So
that's
what they want
bad.
is an intern. They
They want a
want,
slave.
I mean, yeah,
They want a
because
slave.
yeah, so that, I mean, that's kind of, that's going to happen. I the $60 a month thing, I'm confused about whether you get 5 responses a month, or if you have to pay, you only get 5
No,
responses
if you pay
period,
the
and then you have to
$60,
subscribe to this.
if you pay the $60, you can respond to unlimited requests. It's not
I
that
see.
you only
So you
get
can respond to 5 a month, and then unless you have a pro account, then you can
no
respond to however many.
5 period, and then it's over.
Yeah, well, that's kind of, yeah, it's kind of bait and switch. But
Mhm.
I thought it was I joined it as well. I got 5 requests almost immediately within the week of signing up.
Me too.
The 5 requests were all on spot, all exactly what I would do. I didn't respond to any of them. So I can't speak to that yet. I plan to respond to some in the future. But I did take a look at some of the things that it looked like were factors in optimizing and getting you responses. So obviously it's taking what you've got on your profile and matching that up with the request. So it's got some algorithm that's looking at the factors that LinkedIn looks into from your profile and making the matches based on the request of the person. It also takes into account some of the they've also got a directory of freelancers that they list for different categories. So under one, search engine optimization is one of mine, and that appears to be in the number of recommendations that you get as a factor in ranking. So I noticed the people at the top were the people with the most number of recommendations. So if you're going to use that, then that's something you need to consider, is making, if you don't have many recommendations, get recommendations.
I have scores of recommendations.
And you probably want to get recommendations specifically for the types of things that you're listed for in LinkedIn. The other factors: experience, education. Obviously, you've got your own LinkedIn profile, so you'll want to optimize it so that it highlights that type of stuff. But so far, I was impressed. I didn't have the experience that you had. I didn't respond.
You didn't
to
answer any. Let me know how it goes when you answer.
Yeah, I will, and we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I'm not going to dismiss it just yet. So we'll see.
Okay. I do have one more about LinkedIn. I'm not happy about LinkedIn this week. Back in 2012, there was a huge security breach, and millions of LinkedIn password and usernames were breached. And just this past week, their head of security, Corey Scott, announced in a blog post on LinkedIn that another 100 million that were obtained back in 2012 were released this week, which apparently means they were sold. And he says it's not a new security breach, but an old one that came back. Bad news.
Yeah, that always sucks. Change your LinkedIn password.
Yeah. Well, I change my passwords all the time just because I can't deal with them. So does that bring us to better news?
It does.
Well, I think this is really good news about Twitter. They have announced that they're rolling this out. I've already experienced it. They've stopped counting pictures and links in the 140 character limit. Now, a link can be 22 characters, so that's a pretty big chunk out of your 140. So I first saw this in Bloomberg News and Sarah Fryer was the reporter. It's a major shift, and it allows you to compose longer messages. And so nobody wanted to take credit for it, but links now, they're 22, 23 characters, even after Twitter automatically shortens them, but they didn't want to comment. So I, experimented with it during the week, and I found that indeed they had, at least on my account, stopped counting the links as characters. And and I added a photo, and that didn't appear to affect the character count either. So I think that's one of those things that makes Twitter easier for people to use, and I think that does add value to it. We'll see, you know, how people respond to it.
Absolutely. I mean, the only question is why was it ever included in the count to begin with?
Exactly.
Right?
Like, it shouldn't have been, but it was. And, you know, but I think they've been making some quite useful improvements lately.
Sure. So big news this week out of Google. They had their developer conference. A lot of announcements out of that, and one of the biggest was Google Home, which was previously known as Chirp, I believe. That was the code name for it. This is from the New York Times article by David Streitfeld. Google Home is Google's voice-activated Echo competitor, competing with Amazon's Echo. And so they've got a product in the works. It isn't available yet. So there's that. A lot of things that came out of Google developer conference this week weren't available yet. So there is that again. But interesting, Google recognizes that that Echo is a big competitor, and that voice-activated devices are part of their future. So they're developing one. So I got to thinking, so what can you, okay, if Google has a competitor Echo, what can they pipe into it? What can you use it for? There's all, you know, I use my Amazon Echo to find out the temperature forecast and ask random questions, have it read books to me, play music, all that. So Google's got the music covered. They've got Google Play. They got YouTube, so people can play, stream music from that. But also they've got Google Hangouts and voice. So this could easily be an additional telephone, basically, in your home that you could use effortlessly with just voice commands. They've got email, obviously, through Gmail, so you can have it read your email. When you make travel plans and you get confirmation and itineraries, that goes into your inbox, and Google recognizes that. So when you search and you're planning on traveling and you search for your flight number, Google will tell you in the search results when it's ready to go. So you could get that through your Google Home. Maps. You can ask how long it'll take to get to work. You could have certain directions sent to your car. Google Instant Answers. So they've got instant answers in the search results for certain queries. They could easily pipe that into Google Home. With Google Play, of course, they've got music and podcasts now, but they've also got books, so they could have books read through there. And then they've got Google News, so you could get the latest headlines as well. So they're positioned to very easily compete with Amazon Echo on a solid footing, and they know so much about us already from all the things that they have. They could tie all that together and really customize it to our particular needs without necessarily having to depend on third-party developers like Google Amazon Echo or Amazon Echo is.
Well, they also have the ability to translate into more than 100 languages.
Yeah, that's true. Yep.
They can, you're able to say to it, they mentioned this, you're able to say, like, play, you know, Duke Ellington in the living room, and it'll turn on a device in the living room. It's definitely part of the Internet of Things. And
well, they have Nest, which has been underwhelming for a lot of people thus far. But if this is a piece of the puzzle that can make all that work, that'd be, yeah.
That's what they were seeming to say that it did. But you're right, like a lot of things that they talked about, you know, just haven't happened yet, like the virtual reality headset that they may or may not have.
They have schematics for or something, a drawing for. Yeah.
You know, but it's Google. I mean, you can't expect Google to explain anything clearly. We had this conversation before the show. Like, whatever they say, you got to have somebody else explain it. Generally in YouTube, you know, you have to go there. But there was something that I saw this week that I liked a lot, and it's virtual reality for good. And it's $1 million initiative by Oculus to inspire social change. They're the makers of the headset. And this was in Next Web by Brian Clark. And they want to connect students at 9 San Francisco Bay Area high schools with professional filmmakers and gear to give the students free 3 to 5 minute 360-degree videos to get them to make 360-degree videos about their local communities. And they're going to get professional guidance and Samsung Gear VR headsets and smartphones and editing and wonderful things. And interested nonprofits can apply until the end of May if they want to participate. And then there's going to be a 2-day boot camp, and the first videos will be unveiled in January 2017 at the Sundance Film Festival. That's pretty cool.
That's very cool. And it's very smart. I mean, it's kind of the computers and education thing. Get people knowing how to use your product, excited about using your product, having used your product, and they're future consumers. So it's beneficial to the community, and also it's enlightened self-interest. Let's put it that way.
Well, it absolutely is enlightened, and you know, I think that they're also talking to a demographic that really is interested in doing good.
Yep. Speaking of 360 videos, I got a cool story this week for mine, a local story. This comes from the St. Paul Pioneer Press, and the reporter is Julio Ojeda Zapata, who writes about a Minneapolis-based tech startup called Visual that specializes in 360-degree video content. They have done a deal with Rhapsody, the music streaming service, for virtual reality. So Visual, it was co-founded by Chuck Olson, who's a legend in the Twin Cities for his work in video. He's been at video a long time ago, and was the first people online doing online video, and just he's a legend. Anyway, he co-founded this VR company called Visual, and they've done this deal with Rhapsody. Rhapsody competes with streaming services like Spotify and Pandora. Rhapsody is rolling out smartphone apps for viewing 360-degree videos of musical performances. So Visual created the Rhapsody VR app along with back-end publishing system for managing the online posting of 360 footage. Rhapsody's 360 videos consist of recent performances at South by Southwest Music Video. They also added a VR 360 video of rapper Dem Atlas's cover of Prince's "Let's Go Crazy" outside the Minneapolis First Avenue nightclub shortly after Prince died. We'll put a link in that video in the show notes. But it's just great because 360 videos are a format that is tailor-made to musical performances. You think of the concert footage that you've seen in the past, it's from one camera angle or 2A camera angle, 3 camera angles, but they're fixed camera angles. But I want to focus in on the guitarist because I'm a guitarist, right? And with a 360 video, I can pan around in the video and actually look at what the guitarist is doing throughout the whole song. So and see how the crowd reacts to certain parts of the moment, just tailor-made to the whole musical performance experience. So I'm excited to see how this works out.
There's another cool VR experience this week in the Sunday New York Times. There's a VR experience. You wear your cardboard headset and you can see what it's like to be walking on the surface of Pluto. And they did it in conjunction with NASA. I heard about it when I went to the virtual reality conference last week, and here it is. And it's
very
cool as hell. It's so cool. Wow. You know, and it uses a $2 headset or whatever, a $10. So are we ready to tell about how the internet got broken by a video?
I think we are.
Well, if you haven't heard about the Chewbacca Mask Lady yet, you're in for a real treat. Since Thursday, this video has had more than 131 million views, and it's a Texas mom. Her name is Candace Payne, and she apparently went to Kohl's and she found a Chewbacca mask. And she says, I can't wait to show it to you. And you probably think I got this for my kids, but I didn't. This is for me. And I can't wait to put this on. And she puts it on. And when you open your mouth, it makes the Chewbacca sound. And she is laughing hysterically. I mean, it's just pure joy. And it became, since Thursday, Facebook's most watched live video of all time. And it blitzed the 10 million views by BuzzFeed's Exploding Watermelon. And so she says it's quantifiable, but at the same time, it's such a mystery in my mind. And what it means is that so many people have watched it all over the world. It's kind of surreal. She said, but it's very cool, man, very surreal. She said she never imagined that, I love this woman, that Finding My Simple Joy would have more views on Facebook on a little Facebook video that Mark Zuckerberg has followers. Insane. Says, find your simple joy. Good day now. Now, good night. It's all love. Well, she's got 498,000 followers on Facebook after she had a couple hundred before she posted this video the other day. And the video has been, I mean, if we go and look again, it was 131 million right before the show. I'm sure another 10 million people have watched since then. I mean, just the funniest thing. She's hilarious, you know, and it's 4 minutes long, and somebody posted on Twitter, I just watched a woman laughing hysterically in a Chewbacca mask for 4 minutes, and I'm gonna watch it again.
Yeah, well, live streaming births has nothing on Chewbacca Mom, right? I mean, yeah, it's a 4-minute video, and it takes her 2 minutes before she actually puts on the mask, and it's still so compelling. The first 2 minutes are funny.
I know,
2 minutes, you just what she get. You know what she's gonna do because it's a Chewbacca mask video. Yeah, heard about it.
You don't know that it's gonna make that sound. I mean, it just is hilarious, and she's laughing, and he's still making that whatever it is he says. The combination is hilarious, And well, so what happened? Immediately, every Chewbacca mask in the nation sold out. You cannot buy one. Disney must love this woman. I just hope that she's making some money off of these 117 million views, 130 million views. I mean, does the woman make money is the question, because she should.
I was just going to say, I'm going to have to wait a couple of weeks before I can buy my own Chewbacca mask now.
You are going to have to wait. They're probably rushing to make more now in China.
Last week we talked about racist McShootface, and so this week let's talk about Parsey McParseface. This is from a Verge article by Dieter Bahn, and another one of Google Developer Conference announcements. So Parsey McParseface is a software tool that Google has released for developers and researchers. Now, both racist McShootface and Parsey McParseface are a nod to the crowdfunding effort by UK's Natural Environment Research Council a while ago to name a vessel that they had. And the most popular suggestion among that naming contest was Bodie McBoatface. And so that's where the McFace meme comes from. So Google released this tool basically for, as I said, for developers and for research, and it's there's some tools that Google uses to understand natural language, and this is part of it. Parsey McParseface is a tool that understands natural language. Google is open sourcing both that and SyntaxNet, and so Parsey McParseface is a component of SyntaxNet. SyntaxNet is the overall framework for parsing sentences, and Parsey McParseface is the English language plugin for SyntaxNet. Google claims that it can correctly identify subjects, objects, verbs, and other grammatical building blocks of sentences, as well as trained human linguists can, achieving 94% accuracy in English language news sites. So understanding the grammatical structure of a sentence is a key to helping computers act on instructions, right? And their meaning. So Google also confirms they have the capacity to recognize quality. I mean, what this does basically is implicitly recognize that Google has the ability to understand what quality writing is, which likely plays into Google search algorithms. So people who are churning out all this crap content are likely not going to have as high search visibility as somebody who actually knows how to write, construct a proper sentence, and delivers quality content. So. Interesting.
What was the thing called that Google had? I'm struggling to remember it as you're talking about this. They had something that was going to allow you to put your phone, I think, up to anything and have it be identified. Like look at a tree and it would tell you what the tree was. I don't think that's happened. That's something that they talked about. Do you remember that?
They had Google goggles, I think is
Google
what that
goggles,
was. Yeah.
That's what it was. And that never materialized.
Well, that was I mean, a lot of the things that Google does is not necessarily for the product, but for learning stuff.
Yeah.
And so that Google goggle, all the input from Google goggles went into Google's image recognition technology.
And also Google Glass.
Right. Yep.
You know, which you loved so much. And which they've now gotten rid of. I mean, you never really know whether any of this stuff is going to actually, you know, be developed and fleshed out. You really don't. So I believe that brings us to shiny new stuff. Yes?
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
No. Another Google announcement from the developer conference. This comes from a court story by Michael Corin. Google announced instant apps. Instead of downloading apps, Android phones will soon be able to selectively download chunks of code that run parts of the app needed to play like a video, sell an item, or book a hotel room. So, you know, think about it. Apps are a closed system that are fundamentally contrary to the idea of the open web. You can't share and discover a lot of what happens in apps unless the other person you want to share it with owns the app as well. And sometimes, I mean, owning apps kind of means you have to buy into the ecosystem. So either Apple or Android. I mean, an example of this is trying to share some content you found within the Facebook app outside of Facebook. It's really hard to do. So instant apps work like a web page, but they're still a native app on the phone. The technology lets someone using an app share things on the web with a URL. And anyone can click on the link, and it will run only parts of the app that are needed to execute whatever is on that URL. So no installation is necessary. Android downloads bits of the app in the background. An example of this type of functionality is progressive web apps. They work like conventional websites in the browser. They also work offline. They can run on multiple devices. They can share user data. They can be installed on phones. But once a visitor returns to a site several times, you can get a notification to ask if you'd like to install the app on your home screen. And effectively, that's just a link to the browser where all the data is stored. Another example of this kind of functionality is streaming apps. So that's a technology that both Apple and Google have released support for. That's an app that basically runs from the cloud rather than having to download it. It uses little or no installed software, and it serves up the app after the user opens it instead of downloading the entire package. But the instant apps thing is an interesting development from Google, because Google has built its whole reason for being on top of the open web, whereas Apple has built everything within their own compiled systems. So it seems to me that Google is trying to make more content available on the open web where it has access to it, where it can sell ads on top of it and all that.
I'll unmute. All of this is going to have ads attached to it. I mean, this is Google. You know, we're going to see. But one of the things they mentioned at the virtual reality conference was that gamers absolutely refuse to accept any type of advertising in their games. They'll just leave. So I think there's going to be resistance to advertising in a lot of the things that are being developed right now, and that remains to be seen as well. And it gets back to this age-old argument about, you know, content should be free. Somebody got paid for it. Somewhere along the line.
It's true.
Yeah. So that brings us to
there we go.
Objects, and I am beta testing something called Slidecraft, which is absolutely wonderful. It's a closed beta right now. You can apply for an invitation at slidecraft.com, and it's version 1. It's got a lot of things that, you know, are going to change in version 2, but essentially what it is a drag and drop way of creating presentations that can include videos. And like I was doing one just to do a test the other day, and you just search the title of the video that you want to put into the slide. It brings it into the dashboard, and you just drag the thumbnail of the video into the presentation, and that's that. And then you're able to add context to it, meaning that you can add PDFs, you can add articles, you can add any kind of content that you could add a podcast, any kind of content that you want can be added as context to your slides, so that people who later download your presentation will see the context. So for example, we could have the video of our show and the show notes all in this Slidecraft presentation, and when it gets to the next version or the version after that, you'll be able to embed that presentation and all the related data into a slide presentation that you can embed into email, into a blog, into any place you want to put it, basically on the internet. And it's a quite beautiful interface, simple as can be, but they're taking suggestions right now, and I had a bunch of them, and but the developers are self-funded, and they're just right on top of it, and it's going to be wonderful.
That's very cool. I mean, you look at the types of presentations that get a lot of traction on SlideShare, for example, and they're very visual, very little text on them. Usually, just some text with some statistics or something that is highlighted by the visual. So, and they tell a story, but there's not a lot of context to it.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of room for that additional content that would provide context. So if somebody's figuring a solution to that, an elegant solution to that, that's fantastic.
Elegant it will be too. Yeah.
Cool. I will have to check it out. Another thing that people should check out, and I haven't had a chance to really dig deep in this, but Music for Makers. Musicformakers.com is basically, we've talked about depth to stock photo in past episodes, where it's a location for beautiful, highly professional photographs that are Creative Commons, and anybody can use them for any purpose. Well, this is Music for Makers, Creative Commons for music. So if you need some background music for a presentation maybe, or a video, or a podcast, this is another resource you can avail yourself of. Another cool tool, fast.com. This came from TechCrunch's Sarah Perez's article on it. Simple as can be. Visit fast.com and you can see how fast your internet connection is. It automatically calculates it. You just go to the site, watch it calculate, and once it's done calculating, you got the number of how fast your internet connection. Lastly, this is very cool, masterclass.com. So masterclasses, you've heard of masterclasses where you get a bunch of people together and learn from a master and blah, blah, blah. This is with high profile teachers. So masterclasses.com features people like Christina Aguilera teaching singing, Kevin Spacey and Dustin Hoffman teaching acting. These are separate classes between the two, so two separate classes for those guys. James Patterson, a best-selling author, teaching writing. Usher teaching performances. Serena Williams teaching tennis. They've got upcoming classes with Werner Herzog, a famous documentary filmmaker, teaching filmmaking. Annie Lebowitz teaching photography.
Get out, really, Annie Lebowitz?
Yeah.
Wow.
The classes include extensive video content. You get a class workbook. There's interactive assignments. There's community activities, so you can post your work or questions to the community to comment on it. So in that way, it's a workshop as well. There's a suggested workflow, but you can work at your own pace. The classes never expire, and the price point for all of this, for each class, $90 per class, which sounds like a bargain to me.
That is very cool. Well, Scott Scowcroft and I were testing out Fast, and he's in Seattle and I'm in New York. So I pay for 300 Mbps internet speed from RCN. And so I was, bragging about that. I have 300. You know what he has? He lives in Seattle, where they're really into internet speed in Seattle. Microsoft is there. It's like 3,000. The whole city is got, the fastest internet, and it's the same up as it is down, and so here we are in New York, the center of the universe, and we have slow internet speed. What is wrong with this picture?
Yeah, I don't even want to talk about that. Oh, we have the daily numbers. Some other numbers. So the daily numbers this week: 85% of Facebook video is viewed on mute. This is from a Digiday article by Sahil Patel. As much as 85% of the Facebook video views are consumed with the sound off, according to multiple publishers this article interviewed. So Little Things is a site that is averaging 150 million monthly views on Facebook for their videos so far this year. 85% of their viewership is occurring without users turning the sound on. The news site Mike, M-I-C, also averages 150 million Facebook views a month. 85% of their 30-second views are without sound. Pop Sugar said its silent video views range between 50 and 80%. So users' news feeds are now kind of, as a result, are now inundated with short videos that feature a lot of text explaining and narrating the video and what's being shown on the screen. So while most of these videos feature some form of narration or background music, the intent is to obviously to make it easy for people to consume the information presented in the video without needing to turn the sound on. So Bill Hillsman, ad man for the late Senator Paul Wellstone, did some great ads for Paul Wellstone. Jesse Ventura has run for governor in Minnesota. He did ads for him, did ads for Ralph Nader, famous ad man in these parts. He often said that a TV commercial should be understandable in a crowded bar, lots of people talking, nobody can hear the sound, and just see the video. So you got to think about that with your Facebook videos as well, given that they are by default sound off.
Well, I think a lot of the reason for that is that people are watching at work when they're not supposed to be watching videos. And I would like to know how much of that happens during business hours. But that explains something that I've been wondering about. Amazon Video Direct insists that when you upload a video, it be captioned. And it has to be captioned in a certain way using certain types of software. And that must be the reason.
I don't think that's. I think it's ADA compliant stuff.
What do you mean?
Americans with Disability Act compliance.
Oh, okay, maybe that's it. But they, yeah, they insist on how that it has that, and
it's certainly helpful for that too. I mean, obviously.
Yeah. Well, it's a smart thing, but yes, you have to learn a whole new set of softwares to be able to do that, unless you send it out and pay somebody to do your captions by the minute. So we'll see how that goes. That brings us to projects, yes?
It does, yes, indeed. And you've got one.
And I wonder about the music for makers, because my friend Susan Finch just had her entire channel shut down by YouTube, and they do that without explanation, and you have no recourse. It takes them a good 6 months to even respond, and it will turn out that it wasn't a copyright strike. It was unexplained. And you know, I do wonder with this music if that's going to offend YouTube, because it's very hard to tell what the hell does. It's not done by humans.
That's what you need to do, is be a musician as well that can record your own music, so you don't have to deal with that, right? I mean, I've had copyright claims against my YouTube videos that I contested for fair use reasons, and actually had the claim retracted as a result of my contestation of it. But also, I just recently got a claim for use of audio that YouTube itself supplied.
Yeah, and you know, they don't have any clear violation, and yet their entire channel, all their shows, they had as many as we did, you know, it's gone. And I mean, they had copies of it because they edited in, you know, in different platforms and then put it back up. But in some cases, and in some cases not. And you cannot get a human on the phone. And I've had that happen too. And, you know, there's no rhyme or reason to it. But anyway, I did a video this week with my client, attorney Daniel Antonelli, and it's an interesting one. It's dispelling myths about wills, and it's just 2 minutes, and it's on his blog. And you know, it's like, oh, what happens if you die without a will? Does the state get all your money? You know, the interesting things that people think will happen, and for the most part, they're myths, and it would be helpful for you to know that. And one of the things that he says in one of the videos that we did is, you know, I said, like, you know, how old should you be before you have a will? And he said, well, you know, it depends on where you are in your life, whether you have dependents, whether you have money, whether you have a lot of things. But anyway, the myths are fun and interesting, so you might want to take a look.
Cool.
So
particularly interesting in light of the fact that Prince died without a parent will, and they're going through. Or
not. Now they're saying maybe he did have one. That was one of the questions I asked in some of the videos that'll be coming up soon. Is like, where should you keep your will? You know, how would anybody know you had it? And like, if you gave it to the lawyer, like, how would anybody know you had a lawyer? So
safety deposit box might be a good idea.
Well, but no, how do you get into somebody's safety deposit box after they die?
Well, I mean, you give the bank a death certificate and prove
That
that
can be
they,
a problem if you weren't listed as somebody who should be in there. But anyway, maybe we should interview Dan one of these days. I asked him about Prince, like, and he said he wasn't really familiar with the outcome of it. So we'll have to find out about that. That was an interesting thing. So does that bring us to the end of the show, I think, right?
that does. Yep.
Okay, so would you like to take us out, Dave?
Yeah, sure. If I can remember what I was supposed to say.
Okay.
Thanks for watching episode number 144 of the Beyond Social Media Show. We'll have links to all the things that we talked about in the show notes on beyondsocialmediashow.com/144. You can leave us a review if you'd like to, and we'd like to hear from you. So if you want to do that, go to beyondsocialmediashow.com/love. We'll point to all the places you can leave us a review at. I am David Erickson. You can find me on Twitter at @DErickson. My blog is e-strategy blog. I also blog at creativepr.com/blog, which is my agency's blog. BL, you can find on Twitter at What's Next. Her blog is what'snextblog.com. You should definitely be reading that. She is the head of maximum-plus.com, where you can hire her for online video content, events, and all things. She's fantastic. You should hire her. She also writes for Ad Age, so you know she's got cred right there. The show, you can find us at beyondsocialmediashow.com. We're on Twitter at BS Media Show. You can subscribe to the newsletter at beyondsocialmediashow.com/newsletter. We'll have exclusive content. You won't miss an episode, and you will be happy that you did. And until next week, thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.